I came out to speak, and tears rolled. And when I stood up, God gave me some words to speak, that there will be zero tolerance for misconduct, for indiscipline in the profession, and that we are going to move from wherever we were to do things that are notable and concrete, and that the image of the profession that had been covered for a long time was going to be brought to the fore through an enlightenment campaign that we were going to launch. Those were my key statements at the announcement of the results that brought me to office as president. Viewers, welcome back to the videos of my life stories. In the last episode, I told you how God made it possible in the city of Ibadan in 2018. I was elected the president of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. Though it was an election and a serious contest again, with a very senior member of our profession who had some government clouds around him. But God took me from my little corner private life and placed me in the leadership position, brought me to the peak of my professional leadership in Nigeria. And so it was clear to me while the result was announced in that hall where we had our general meeting. I came out to speak, and tears rolled. And when I stood up, God gave me some words to speak, that there will be zero tolerance for misconduct, for indiscipline in the profession, and that we are going to move from wherever we were to do things that are notable and concrete, and that the image of the profession that had been covered for a long time was going to be brought to the fore through an enlightenment campaign that we were going to launch. Those were my key statements at the announcement of the results that brought me to office as president. And of course, I left Ibadan. It took place on a Saturday. I left Ibadan on Sunday to arrive here. Prior to my being elected, my predecessor in the office had started to do excavation at the permanent sites of Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. And they were really doing the substructure, the foundation, before the, real foundation level. Those blocks you lay inside and concrete, then you now put a beginning or a base for the building to start. And that's what was going on before I was elected. And that Monday, I did not report to my secretariat. I called the officers who have also arrived at Abuja that we are going to the site. And quickly the public relations officer organized pressmen, and we got to the site, met with the contractor, met with the consultant, and I announced that this will be my number one priority and project. When I was speaking, my real balance in the institutional account was 15 million naira. And of course, that project had been costed then at 650 million. And so for many, saying is my priority, I'm going to get it roofed, I'm going to do this, do that, as I did in my press conference, they were imagining, where will this man see money to do what he's talking about? And when I was speaking, I wasn't speaking with dependence on what I know was on ground, but I was speaking as God gave me utterance, that these are things I will do. Having walked with this God for some time, I know that when he asks you to do a thing, when he puts a vision in your heart, God is able to pull it through, just to glorify his name and to show people that there is difference between the world and those that obey him and follow his ways. That's exactly what happened. That program or that project, a 5-floor building, National Secretariat of the Profession, was my major agenda to accomplish. And so I started work on that site. And I can also say that I finished work on that site, because every week, every other day, I was at that site. And in every event of the profession, as my members will bear witness, I made it a front line issue to raise funds. First was the only national conference of my professional body attended by the former Minister of Works and Housing, former governor of Lagos State. Why am I losing the Fashola? For the 8 years or so he was a minister, and he was supervising minister. He never attended any of our conferences except the one I organized in 2019. I brought a model of the building, the project. At that time it was about 2nd floor level. Brought it to the conference and then asked him to come and unveil it. And everybody was looking at. First, to bring him to that meeting, I wrote more than 13 letters telling him that I was going to hand over to him land and property data that we have compiled covering most geopolitical zones in our nation, which is an assignment he gave to us many, many years ago. He said, you can't say you estate surveyors, you do not know what are the rates and what is happening in the property market. So I took it upon myself, side by side with the major project, and set up a committee. They compiled it. So in that, my first conference, I brought him, presented it formally. Today I know that is what attracted him to that meeting. And then I cornered him to unveil this project, which he did in a funny way. And everybody, every member of my profession, they were surprised I could move Fashola to that conference. And that's the only one he attended throughout his tenure. I make bold to say that I stand to be corrected by anybody who knows better than that. And so those key projects, the building projects, I put everything I could do. I raised funds from members, even allowed people, branches like Abuja branch, have a floor, a wing of a floor to itself. I told them, instead of going to look for land to build, take a wing and make that contribution to enable us complete our project. And then I began to channel and went to council, got an approval that 50% of our revenue should be directed to the building. And all the rent we collect from all the properties we have in Nigeria should be invested in that building. We had a large plot of land where you have farmers' market in Gwarempa that was lying fallow. I entered into this developers arrangement with the owners of farmers, and they paid, I think, 25 years rent. All those were sources through which God helped me to bring that building to roofing level, and then prepared the reception ground where I wrote the names of donors before I left office. Those were just part of the things that we did that were shouting. I also had an enlightenment committee called Niesv Advocacy Committee. We had radio station program from the first day of, radio and television. Every Sunday, members of the profession were online, on news, talking about our profession, talking about services, talking about land ownership and titles in Nigeria. God help me. Where I got those ideas, I do not know. But I know people have called me to say, Abonta, you did your best. Viewers, I will want to stop here for now. But know it, that nothing I did, that I did by my own power. I am not capable, even up till now, of achieving those things, except that God decided to use me to do those things, and I return all the glory to Him. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Viewers, you heard Abonta, that a young man from Akwete, all the way to become national president, national institution of estate surveyors and valuers in Nigeria. Only God. And the landmark of raising that building to almost the point of completion, only God. Only God made 15 million naira, did a job of something like 600 million naira. Only God. You heard him. You heard him. God can do the same thing in your own life. But do you know Him? Does He talk to you? Does He direct you? If He whispers to you, will you recognize His voice? You need to bring Jesus into your life. We have a small clip of a video titled The Challenge. It is coming up. Pray the prayer in it with me. Jesus will come into your life. Shortly thereafter, you will have a story to tell. The finger of God will begin to move in your life, as you have heard what God did in the life of Abonta. After your service, all the money he made was he burnt it on riotous living in Mina. But today the story of his life is different. Yours can also be different. Thank you for listening in, and God bless you. Please do not forget to subscribe to our channel. Abonta's story will still continue, and other people are coming. Subscribe to the channel. Please forward up clips to your friends. God will bless you.